Nearly 3 months ago, Damian Lillard requested a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers, and today is finally the day we see him move to another team. His new home, you ask? The Milwaukee Bucks. Like we assumed, it took a third team to provide enough assets to get him. The full trade details include Milwaukee Bucks receiving Damian Lillard, the Portland Trail Blazers receiving Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Toonami Camara, a 2028 first-round pick swap from Milwaukee, a 2029 first-round pick from Milwaukee, and a 2030 first-round pick swap from Milwaukee. The Phoenix Suns receiving Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. After sorting through all the moving pieces and a trade completely that I can say probably no one expected, what are your initial thoughts on this trade?
I mean, I don't know how it could be anything different than wow, I didn't expect that, because I don't think anybody did. We heard about the Toronto Raptors going into this week, and that sounded like a pretty strong likelihood. And even though we questioned our last video about maybe that being smoke and mirrors, and that Miami would pull through and they would work something out here, whether it would be a 2, 3, 4, 5 team trade, that never ended up happening. And Milwaukee, they ended up being the dark horse, even though Jimmy Butler is claiming tampering right now. I don't know if you saw that, but they pulled through and they got Giannis, his guy. The only unfortunate thing here, though, is that they did have to give up quite a bit to get him. I mean, Jrue Holiday, he is a huge part of their team, a vital piece, part of their championship team. In addition to that, they gave up Grayson Allen, pretty good role player, and unprotected first round pick and first round pick swaps. I mean, no matter what way you look at it, that's a lot to give up, even though you're getting a superstar in Damian Lillard. He is 33 years old after all, so the championship window might not be that large. And then when you add in Chris Middleton, who is starting to decline as well, they probably have a limited opportunity, albeit a really good one. They immediately have the highest championship odds if you look on pretty much any betting website now. And, you know, I understand why. There's a lot of hype with it, but they added an insanely good piece to their core, and they're definitely one of the top tier contenders in the NBA now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a clear, let's win right now, let's get that window moved, and we're going to try and win right now. I think that it hurts really bad losing Jrue and even Grayson Allen. Those were some really good defenders in the NBA. And yeah, you bring in that scoring threat and the closer, you know, the game closer that Dame is. But yeah, you lose out on that defense, and they still have a really strong defense with everyone else. But you just think about, you know, the starting five in the six-man in Portis too. I mean, it's I can't even believe it. I never would have thought that this would go this route. I think that the Bucks made a good decision, especially with, you know, Giannis expressing kind of some of the stuff he said earlier this summer too. And I think that they did good. It was super unexpected, super in the dark. It goes to show that, you know, what we see on the media isn't always even what we probably don't even know. That's just the tip of the iceberg of what we know. And I think that the Bucks are poising themselves really good here. And I'm curious what you think though about the other two teams. What do you think about, if you had to give us like a grade of like what the Portland, you know, talking about what they have, how do you think they did in this trade?
Ooh, interesting. I like the return package that Portland got here. We've been hearing about DeAndre Ayton for a while, and they did end up getting him, but I never thought they'd get a Jrue Holiday, which they're already reporting that they're not going to keep, and I agree with that. They have no reason to keep him, so they'll probably even get more in return here, in addition to DeAndre Ayton, Jrue Holiday, who they'll trade probably for, I imagine, even 2 first-round draft picks. They're not asking for a young player in return here. And after that, I think I can give a more clear grade for their total package. But even right now, I'd give them a solid A minus at least. I like what they got. And even Phoenix, I like what they got too here. I mean, say what you want about Yusuf Nurkic, I don't think he's an overall upgrade over DeAndre Ayton, but he does fit their team system a little bit better. He's a little bit better of a defender. I'm not sure why they thought he was their defensive anchor that they're looking for, but I really like the Nasir Little addition for them. Grayson Allen's another good role player for them, more three-point shooting. And what they needed more depth. They were not very deep. They had a good sneaky pickup with Eric Gordon and a couple other guys too, but they were a very top-heavy team. Any team with a real big three and with 3 max contracts is going to be top-heavy. So I like what Phoenix did. We talked about in our prior video about it tends to be that 3rd or 4th team in the trade that can come out on top sometimes, and I think this could give Phoenix what they needed. I would give them actually, given that they didn't have to give up any draft picks here really either. I'd probably give them about an A- here as well. Again, if it was only Yusuf Nurkic for Ayton, I would have hated it, but they got a lot more here. In terms of the Bucks, it's kind of hard right now because we're purely reactionary at this point, but I wouldn't give it an A. I really like it, but at the moment, I'd probably have to give it like a B+. I feel like they gave up a lot here. So That's kind of my initial view on it. I don't want to be too hyped up and give them an A automatically. But kind of how do you feel about it up here, reaction?
I mean, basically the same thing. Of course, it's all going to change once the season starts. But, you look at a lot of the times when we see big kind of blockbuster trades like this, where a lot of, high level players, not just, one big player and a bunch of picks and a couple no names, but like high players, DeAndre and Jrue Holiday, Damian, and even Nurkic and stuff like that, and Grayson Allen even too. You can kind of tell right away that one team maybe didn't get what they wanted for it, or not like what we see on the outside looking in, like what we think that value was. But right now it looks like every team at least put a foot forward in the way that they're going. Portland looking to, you'd think they were going to go for like a rebuild. I mean, they got young guys in Tumani Kamara. He's, their draft from this year, from the second round, and then all these, first round, swaps in the first round. You said unprotected. Then if they move Jrue, or and then Ayton too. I mean, it'll be interesting. The Ayton thing, I'm sure he's not happy about it. Going from a contending team. You think?
Yeah, if last year is any indication of how he didn't like the way they're utilizing him, I feel like, and he signed that offer sheet last offseason with the Indiana Pacers. I think he wants to be a guy, and I mean, he'll at least kind of get that opportunity in Portland here. He'll have to share it a little bit with Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons, but he'll definitely be a top 2 option for them, and I think he'll like it.
I think he will too. I think that, who knows? And I think, when you want to be that guy, it's just tough when you go from like championship contention to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he'll fit in good. So like I was kind of saying, like Portland, I think they did exactly what they wanted to and what they wanted to get, out of moving Dame. And the Suns, same thing. They put their foot forward. I'd give both of them an A, especially like you say, the Suns kind of get a little more depth. I don't know why. I really like Grayson Allen in that roster now. I think it fits really well. And I think, both teams get an A. The Bucks, we'll just have to wait and see. I think that we'll all obviously think a little bit differently once we see how everyone meshes. That's with everything, of course. But I really like it for all 3 teams, and it really shook up the NBA. And that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, definitely a lot to absorb here. I mean, I shouldn't say rare even, it's kind of rare. It's becoming a lot less rare that a big trade like this happens. But anytime you get this amount of movement in the NBA, there's going to be a whole lot of shakeup, and it's hard to predict how everything will pan out. I mean, given that all the players, the big name players, especially in this trade, stay healthy, they all should, well, Milwaukee and Phoenix, they should both be top tier contenders, and I think they overall improved here, but there definitely is a little bit of good and a little bit of bad with everything. Beginning with the good for Milwaukee, I think we can all agree that they got a reliable scoring option who can definitely be their go-to option in big moments with Dame Time Lillard. I mean, he's been doing it for years now, and given that they've kind of been dealing with, injuries to Chris Middleton, even Giannis a little bit here and there as well. But the Chris Middleton thing especially, they can't really rely on him to be healthy all the time, and he was their go-to scoring option late in late game moments, and now they'll have a mix of him and then especially Damian Lillard. I think that's going to be huge for them. I mean, Giannis, great player, but he's not really a shot creator in big moments, so they're going to be turning to Damian Lillard there, and what better guy to go to at this point in the NBA. And he's still in the prime of his career too, despite being 33 years old now. He averaged a career high in points per game last season with 32.2, and on a career high field goal percentage too. So he's definitely not declining or falling off or anything. He's still at the top, and the window might be kind of short. Yes, he's 33, but they'll have a really good window for at least 1 to 2 years here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because, a lot of the high level players in the league, we see them kind of with someone who's another superstar, not all the time, but like other teams, And, LeBron, KD, Steph, I mean, they all have these other players. We've never seen that with Damian Lillard. And it's going to be really interesting. He's always had to show up and put up to like even when they made the playoffs, those years that they made the playoffs. I mean, Dame went off just to stay in contention and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see, how the pressure can come off him sometimes. And I think that it's going to be really good for him. And like you say, he's not declining. He's as efficient as ever. He's scoring. I mean, he's going to be a 25 a night guy, no problem this whole season. And I think that it's a good home for him. I don't want to say anything since it's done, but I still would have liked to see Miami more than this. But I think this is still good. He's still in the East. I like to see him in the East.
Agreed.
And yeah. Yep. So that's kind of my thing. And then obviously, I'm sure we'll hear more about what Jimmy was getting at too, with the tampering and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, kind of to pick up from that, I like the fit here as well. I think I really did want to see him go to the East. I didn't want the West to be so stacked again, like it tends to be every few years here. I like the fit. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is how are they going to replace Jrue Holiday, because him and Damian Lillard are by no means similar, and they don't really have anyone on their team who can fill a Jrue Holiday role. There's very few guys in the league who can do that. And now removing him from their starting lineup, of course, you put Lillard in there over him, but kind of who do you put at shooting guard here now? You got Damian Lillard at point guard, shooting guard kind of open with no Grayson Allen anymore. Then you got Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Do you put Malik Pat Connaughton? Yeah, either Pat Connaughton or Malik Beasley. And yeah, I would probably go Pat Connaughton too. I mean, he's kind of more of a wing defender rather than a kind of point of attack defender, which he'll probably have to be here, or whoever is put in that role, because that's what Jrue did for them, and that's not the role that Damian Lillard can fill. Not a great defender. I mean, he can lock up in big game moments a little bit here, you can clamp up, but that's not the role that he'll be filling for them. And that's one thing I'm worried about here. Can Brook Lopez and Giannis remain elite rim protectors, and can they remain healthy all year? And then especially for Brook Lopez, he's 35 going on 36 now. Can he remain elite to be that last line of defense? Because they're probably going to be doing a lot of funneling at this point. They're not going to be locking up the point of attack anymore with Jrue Holiday out there. So a lot's going to rely on Brook and Giannis down low.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like you said. The window is it's not tight, but it's tight. It's like you say, it's like that 1 to 2 with this unit right now. And they can most certainly get it done. And yeah, the Jrue shoes are super hard to fill, and it's going to change the whole Milwaukee Bucks kind of program there. I think, the defense and then the offense too will be completely changed just from it. Not in a bad way and not entirely, but it's going to be interesting to see. If it were me, I would do Dame, Pat, and then obviously Giannis, Brook.
And then Middleton too.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to think. So then I'd do obviously Bobby Portis. That's where I'm torn on that. If we do Pat or Beasley, I think you do Pat there because you don't need the extra scoring, which Beasley, that's what he's kind of meant for. So that's kind of how I would run it and run. I mean, that top 7-8 guys. I mean, that's tough to beat on paper.
Oh, for sure. And they even do have a little bit more depth. I mean, I like Marjon Beauchamp. I like Jay Crowder, kind of, if he's bought into his role. He can be a good, glue guy for them. It's all about making him fit in there because he obviously didn't feel like he fit in last season. So he shouldn't be too big of a priority, and he should definitely buy in now, given that they added even more talent to their team. I don't think that should be an issue, but it's all about kind of replacing what they lost in Jrue Holiday while finding the best way to make fit what they currently have now. And that's kind of like the last remaining, not problem, but kind of thing for them to figure out, and it'll be interesting to watch how they do that.